Here we are in Advent asking ourselves the question, what happens when God comes near? Today I want to suggest to you that when God comes near, the most unlikely people find themselves playing leading roles in God's story. As I read the Gospels about this story of the Christ child coming among us, I'm shocked to find that Herod and the religious leaders and the politicians and the high priests, they're just almost nowhere to be found. You would expect for the high priest to come and hold up this little baby and announce to the world, this is what God is doing. Instead, we find a little single mother who has a very quiet life being called into the center of this story to bring Jesus to us. We find this little man, Joseph, kind of on the outskirts of the world. He's living this anonymous life. He seems to be this respectable and quiet guy. God calls him to steward this life into the world. And I think this happens with us. We assume that our lives don't matter in this story. We assume that the leaders of the world, we assume that the power players, we assume that the wise and the learned and the educated are the ones who will do God's work, and we just kind of get to pay the bills. But God is calling you today, whatever your life is, just like Mary, who's called to introduce us to Jesus, just like Joseph, who's called to steward this life of Jesus, just like the shepherds who are called to announce the story of Jesus. You are called to bring Jesus to the world. You are called to introduce your neighbor to the love and the grace and the kindness of Jesus Christ. You are called to bring those who are on the outside of this story right into the middle of the story with you. And so I challenge you today, wherever you go, whether it's work, whether it's play, whether it's in the neighborhood, whether it's with little children, whether you're on the job, whatever it is God has called you to do today, would you be the one to take your role seriously to bring Jesus to the world? Because as we find in this story, when God comes near, the most unlikely people find themselves as lead characters.